So in this video, I'll be discussing the stages of development, and we'll be looking at prenatal development, infancy through childhood, adolescence, adulthood, and then death and dying. And so this is the entire lifespan and the different stages of that lifespan. The first stage of development is conception of the sperm and the egg, and this is called the germinal stage. And we can remember this stage by the suffix of the name, so germ. And a germ is very small, and it's the beginning of development, which is also very small. And in this stage, after conception of the sperm and the egg, this creates a zygote, which is the one-celled structure, which holds the DNA from both parents. And this is what a zygote looks like. So after fertilization, it becomes a zygote with your parents' DNA. And afterwards, the zygote divides and multiplies, forming 2 and then 4 and 8 and then so on and so forth, and creates different and more cells. And this process of cell division is called mitosis. And these cells are multiplying in order to create the structure of the beginning parts of a human. And then next we have the embryonic stage, which comes after the germinal stage. And in this stage, the cells divide multiple times to become an embryo. And after cells produce a placenta, which is a structure connected to the uterus, this will provide nourishment and oxygen from the mother to the developing embryo by the umbilical cord. The placenta is attached to the uterus, where the embryo starts to develop. And then the fetal stage begins, and you could remember this if you've heard of the fetal position from yoga. It kind of looks like where your arms and legs are wrapped around one another. And in this stage, the organism is about 9 weeks old and is now called a fetus. And from 9 to 12 weeks, the sex organs begin to develop. Fingers and toes are fully developed, and fingerprints are visible. And by the time the fetus reaches the 6-month period of development, it weighs about 1.4 pounds. Hearing has started to develop, and the fetus can respond to different sounds. And then also some internal organs start to develop. And throughout the fetal stage, the brain continues to grow and develop as well, and doubles in size from weeks 16 to 28. And then around 36 weeks, the fetus is almost ready for birth. It weighs about 6 pounds now, and it can potentially survive outside the mother's uterus if it's ready for birth. And the fetus continues to grow in weight and grows in length until approximately 40 weeks, and then by then the baby is ready to come out to the world. And during that time the baby was in the womb, it can have parental influences associated with its development. There needs to be a lot of prenatal care involved by the mother taking care of herself and getting checkups through the doctor to see if the baby is developing well. Routine prenatal care is important because it can reduce the risk of complications to the mother or the fetus during pregnancy. And then almost everything the mother ingests, including food, liquid, or even medication, travels through the placenta to the fetus. So anything the mother is exposed to in the environment affects the fetus. So if the mother is exposed to something harmful, the child can show lifelong effects. So a mother might want to eat more fruit rather than more fast food. And also there are teratogens. So for example, a fetus can be exposed to a teratogen, which is any environmental agent, whether biological, chemical, or physical. So this can include smoking, alcohol, different medications that your doctor doesn't prescribe you, or certain injections or anything like that. And some types of teratogens include these, and which may lead to childhood deformities or affecting the baby's brain development. And each organ of the fetus develops during a specific period in the pregnancy, which is called a critical or sensitive period. And if a fetus is exposed to a teratogen at a specific period of growth, then those effects can dramatically affect that critical period of development for these certain organs. And the next progression in development is infancy through childhood, where a newborn develops into a child. And in this stage, the baby develops reflexes, which are inborn or automatic responses to particular forms of stimulation. And reflexes help the newborn survive until it is capable of more complex behaviors. And these reflexes are crucial for survival. There's the rooting reflex, which is the newborn's response to anything that touches the cheek. So when you stroke a baby's cheek, they naturally turn their head in that direction and start to suck. And then there's the sucking reflex, which is the automatic, unlearned sucking motion that infants do with their mouths. And infants will naturally suck on their mother's breasts for milk in order to survive, or suck on a pacifier for comfort. And the next is the gripping or grasping reflex, in which a baby automatically grasps anything that touches his palm, or his or her palm. This is a survival technique in order to support their own weight and develop strength. The Moro reflex or startle reflex is the newborn's response when she feels like she is falling. The baby spreads the arms, pulls them back in, and usually cries. And this is a natural response for survival. And the last reflex is the toe curling reflex, in which the stroking of the foot of an infant causes them to curl their toes. This shows that infants are able to feel with their feet, which is, if developing normally, will have the ability to eventually walk. And infants' physical development is also growing. Their physical bodies are growing, their brain is developing, and their different neurons are creating new connections about the outside world. And motor development occurs in an orderly sequence as infants begin to move from reflexes to more advanced motor functioning. For instance, babies first learn to hold their heads up and then sit unassisted with help. And then maybe they might crawl and walk. And motor skills begin to develop, which refer to the ability to move our bodies and manipulate objects. And babies might be able to do fine motor skills, which focus on the muscles of the fingers, toes, eyes, and enable small coordination. And then there's gross motor skills, which occur with large muscle groups that control our arms, legs, and larger movements. And then these are some of the developmental milestones that children should be achieving. So they're kicking a ball, around the age 3, climbs, runs, rides a bike. Around age 4 and 5, catches a ball or hops and swings. And these are some of the personal or social, language, and cognitive development through their years. And children's cognitive skills are developing as well. So we discussed some cognitive stages of Piaget's perspective, but others include another person's work. And Belligeron concluded that children know solid objects cannot pass through each other, and he found or suggested that very young children have an understanding of objects and how they work, which Piaget would have said that this is beyond their cognitive ability. So an infant might be able to realize that this car isn't passing through a solid object, but passing through if it has space between it. And psychosocial development occurs as children form relationships, when they interact with others and understand and manage their feelings. And attachment is a long-standing connection or bond with others. We'll talk about the Harlow monkey study. So Harlow conducted a series of experiments on monkeys in which he separated newborn monkeys from their mothers, and each monkey was presented with a surrogate mother. One surrogate mother was made out of a wire mesh and could dispense milk, while the other was softer and made from a cloth that did not provide milk. And his research shows that the monkeys preferred the soft, cuddly cloth mother, even though she did not provide any food or milk. And the baby monkeys spent most of their time clinging to the cloth monkey and only went to the wire monkey when they needed to be fed. And so Harlow concluded that there was more to the mother-child bond than just providing food, and that feelings of comfort and security are critical components to the infant-mother bonding cycle. And this bonding leads to more healthy psychosocial development. And then also, John Bowlby developed the concept of attachment theory, and he defined attachment as the affectional bond or tie that an infant forms with the mother. And he used the concept of a secure base, which is a parental presence that gives the child a sense of safety as they explore their environment. And Bowlby said that two things are needed for a healthy attachment, which is that the caregiver must be responsive to the child's needs, and that the caregiver and child must engage in mutually enjoyable interactions. And it wasn't until Mary Ainsworth to distinguish these different types of attachment styles. The first attachment style is secure attachment, which is the most common and considered the healthiest. And in this attachment, the child prefers his parents over a stranger, and the attachment figure is used as a secure base in order for the child to explore the environment, and goes to the parents if it is stressed or in times of stress. And securely attached children have caregivers who are sensitive and responsive to their needs. Next is avoidant attachment, in which the child is unresponsive to the parent, doesn't use the parent as a secure base, and does not care if the parent leaves. And the children reacts to the parent the same way as they might react to a stranger. So when a parent does return, the child is slow to show a positive reaction. And Ainsworth theorized that these children most likely have a caregiver who was insensitive or inattentive to their needs. Another form of attachment is resistant attachment, and these children tend to show clingy behaviors, but then reject the attachment figure's attempts to interact with them. These children tend not to explore toys in the room and might be too fearful. And during separation, they become extremely disturbed and angry with the parent. And then when the parent returns, the children are difficult to comfort. And resistant attachment is often the result of a caregiver's inconsistent level of response to their child. And then the last style of attachment is disorganized attachment, and these children behave oddly. They freeze, run around the room in an erratic manner, or maybe try to run away when a caregiver returns. This type of attachment is seen most often in kids who have been abused, and research has shown that abuse disrupts a child's ability to regulate their emotions.